It's been 4 years now that I've been living essentially out of a big suitcase and a carry-on, and recently I did make the switch from a carry-on suitcase to a carry-on backpack. And in those 4 years I've lived in London, and I've lived in New York City, and I also traveled a bit. And in today's video I simply want to share with you what I've learned from living out of a suitcase. Number 1. Digital is the new paper. When I had my big purge, meaning I got rid of a bunch of stuff, in 2014 I let go of my whole book collection, and I only took, I think, 4 books with me. I've since gotten rid of those books as well because I either get them from the library or read online, and I just don't have a need for physical books because they're heavy, they add a whole bunch of weight to my luggage, and there's simply no need for that. After my initial purge, I also still had quite a few paper documents, and with every move I let go of more and more documents, and now I have a tiny folder approximately this thick that fits all my paper documents. And bear in mind, I have lots of visa documents, lots of health documents, and they all fit into this tiny folder. Number 2, moving is wonderful with little stuff. I've moved between places in London, I've moved between places in New York City, I've moved from London to New York City, I moved from Vienna to New York City, and all I had for these moves was just a big backpack and a carry-on item, and it's been an absolute breeze. I would have never imagined that I would be able to move with so little. I definitely did take way too much when I initially moved from Vienna to New York City. I did let go of a whole bunch of stuff in the process, and every move since has been a bit lighter, and I've moved with less and less stuff. Number 3, less stuff is more happiness. I found that I'm a lot calmer, I'm a lot more at ease the fewer items I have. I just enjoy my existence a lot more, although I appreciate that that might be an odd thing to say, and I've just grown to realize that I just feel a lot better and a lot more comfortable if I only have very few items. Number 4, letting go of stuff gets easier with every move. Now, every time I moved, I let go of a couple more items. Every time I moved, I found a way to make it work better. Every time I moved, I found a better way to pack my items. Every time I moved, the move was a little smoother, a little better, and I moved with fewer items. And every single time I moved, I also decluttered. Now, I haven't had a big purge ever since I had my big purge in 2014. However, every time I do move, I always make sure that I really only bring what I need. Of course, needs do change, so depending on my life situation and depending on my needs, an item may be useful 1 year and may no longer be useful the next or at my next destination. Number 5, packing is easy. Previously, it took me a while to get ready for a vacation, a trip, or a move, and I always moved with way too much. Granted, during my childhood, I didn't move too much. However, every time I moved, I just took way too much stuff with me. These days, if I plan it out, I'm packed within 30 minutes. If I would have an hour, that would give me a little more time. I would be a bit more organized. However, the majority of the packing I am definitely able to do in just 30 minutes. I can gather all my items together, can stuff them in my suitcase, and that's it. I feel a greater sense of freedom. I appreciate the items that I do have a lot more, and moving these days is just a breeze. Number 6, less stuff, less stress. Now, I'm definitely one of those people who tends to get stressed out fairly easily. Whether it's a change in life situation, difficulties in relationships, it doesn't matter what it is, I get stressed out easily. And having fewer things has helped me so much. Because now, at least in this one area, when it comes to my material possessions, I have peace of mind. I know exactly where everything is. I have easy access to each and every one of my belongings. It's all in one place. It's not scattered all over the place. I always have everything that I do own with me, unless of course I'm traveling. And I just feel a much greater sense of peace. And this has also helped me to be less stressed out in lots of other areas of my life. Number 7. I've touched on this one previously. Finding items these days is super easy. A couple years ago, sometimes it would literally take me hours to hunt a particular item down. I had trouble finding things would get lost all over the place, and it just wasn't a good place to be in. These days, whenever I need something, I know exactly where it is. I struggle less with not being able to find items, and whenever I do not find something, I usually find it way faster than in the past. I feel so much more at ease just knowing that everything that I have has its place and I know exactly where it is. Number 8. Change is great. Change is amazing and change needs to be embraced. Growing up, I definitely wasn't one of those kids that embraced change. I oftentimes struggled with embracing change, and ever since I embarked on my minimalist journey, I've really grown to appreciate change. Change is something beautiful, and I've learned that the fewer items I have, the easier I find it to embrace change. Whether that's a change in a living situation, a change within my relationships, a job change, it doesn't matter what kind of change it is, I find it easier and easier to embrace change. And for me, especially someone who is on the highly sensitive side of things, that's something that makes my life a lot easier and overall a lot calmer, because I know that no matter what's going to happen, I can handle it, and I can handle it with ease and a relatively calm mind. And this brings me to number 9. Flexibility is everything. As I mentioned previously, I do deem myself highly sensitive. And while I do like for certain things to be constant in my life, I found that I really, really appreciate having the level of flexibility in my life that I have now. I love the fact that I'm able to pack everything into a big suitcase and a small carry-on backpack, and I can just move. I could pack everything up myself within a very short time and I could move on. Just knowing that I'm this flexible gives me a tremendous sense of peace and has helped me greatly in reducing my stress levels in this particular area. So when it comes to moving and traveling, I'm so much more at ease. Just knowing that everything that I have fits into the bags that I have and that I'm able to carry everything that I do have myself. Number 10. This is the most important one. Oftentimes people ask me whether I miss home, and I'm always a bit confused by the question, in all honesty, because for me, home is where the heart is. I have friends all over the place. And while a couple of my closest friends are in Vienna, Austria, I have really, really close friends in loads and loads of different places. And while I really, really love Austria, I loved growing up here, I really enjoyed it, I'm not sure if I would refer to it as home or my base even, because home is really wherever I go. Wherever I am, wherever I have my base at the time, that is home to me. And I've learned that I don't need too many things to call a place home. Prior to moving to New York City in 2014, I lived at the place that I lived at for 10 years. And I wasn't as fast to embrace change. I wasn't as flexible, and I definitely wasn't as open. And moving this much has simply taught me that you don't need a whole bunch of things to make a place, a city, a country to feel like home. What's important to me is really just the people that are with me and the people that I'm in touch with, because wherever I go, I always aim to stay in touch with the people that I hold closest to my heart. And whenever I get asked, do you miss home? I usually respond with, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by home, because home is where the heart is. And while this may sound really cliche and really kitschy, I find it to be true in my life situation. Living out of a suitcase and a backpack has truly been life-changing for me, and just knowing that I can pack up and just go wherever I want to go gives me a tremendous sense of peace. And today I really just felt like sharing what I've learned. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you're moving a lot and if you are living out of your suitcase, or if you happen to live out of a backpack. I would love to hear from you, and as always, have a lovely day.